Hey guys, welcome back to Tuesday Night Hype. For your second semifinal, we're going to have Janetzky taking on Sintolol. Janetzky's going to be bringing Warlock, Shaman, Druid, while Sinto's going to be on Mage, Warrior, and Shaman. You know, we haven't seen Mage or Druid tonight. I'd be pretty excited to see what type of decks those are.
Definitely. I mean, there's a lot of different things that the Mage could be. That's what I'm really excited to see. We could be seeing Freeze Mage here. It's still definitely, I'd say, very viable. Or Reno Freeze Mage, as I think Amnesiac brought to DreamHack over the weekend. Or just Reno Mage, Tempo Mage. A whole lot of different things that could come here, which would mean really different matchups.
Don't forget Malagos, you know, that could pop up in there.
It could be Malagos. Yeah. And on the Druid side, what are you thinking we'd see there?
It's weird because I don't think many of the Druids are that great just yet.
Yeah.
But one that Orange brought over the weekend, you know, Beast Druid could be kind of strong. I think Marka Yasiraj is an amazing card, provides a ton of tempo. So possibly, you know, we saw a little bit of DreamHack. We could be seeing it now.
Yeah, definitely. And I think, like, in that's a deck where Mark of Yasharaj is just a card that's strong enough in its own right to almost carry the deck if you can get it off.
Oh, yeah. I mean, once you get off it, it's just crazy momentum from there on out. But we're going to have our first match here. Janetzky's going to be on Shaman. Sinto's going to open up with Mage, and it's looking like a Freeze Mage to me. You know, we see Emperor in him.
Like a Freeze Mage.
Yeah, we see Arcanes. Yeah, looks pretty much like a Freeze Mage.
Yeah, and that's a pretty good draw straight away. I mean, now that you're not looking for mad scientists anymore, a Doomsayer early on is going to be really powerful against what I assume is going to be another Face Shaman, seeing as we've got Finley here.
Yeah, and this match is, so, you know, Fire Blast isn't terrible, Dagger Mastery, not the best, but yeah, Fire Blast isn't terrible. Probably one of the Hunter Hero power there or something else. You know, this matchup is pretty interesting because a lot of times the Shaman can actually just burst you down when you don't have anything kind of set up yet. Here, turn 2 Doomsayer, though, is pretty damn good.
That's interesting. Yeah, I guess he's just predicting that he would be hoping that Janetzky would be hoping to drop a 2-drop minion on this turn, but he's just absolutely denying him that so that he can then safely play his Novice Engineer this turn. I think this is a pretty good play.
Yeah, I like it. It's, you know, it's definitely aggressive. A lot of times you do want to wait until you get like a Frost Nova and Doomsayer because, as we said earlier, Doomsayer, it's not getting silenced anymore. You might see an Earthshock in a more aggressive build like this.
That's true.
But you might see things like that. So it's definitely an interesting play, though. Here, what do you like? You know, Janetzky has a lot of different possibilities. You could just go for the juggle, or you can play, you know, the 3/4 for 2 mana.
Yeah, I mean, so that's the thing. If you're playing the Totem Golem, even if the Novice Engineer does run itself into the Totem Golem, you end up with the 3/3 instead of a 2/3. Obviously, you're overloaded then, and so I guess you need to think about what you want to do next turn, and you're probably going to want to be dropping. Well, I mean, actually, you've got the Eternal Sentinel, so you could still play that, and then a 2-mana card. But he is going to go for the Flame Juggler. Does hit it. Very nice.
Yeah, so, I mean, this matchup has changed a tiny bit, right? But not a lot in a sense. We do lose Crackle, so that's pretty big. You know, coming from the Shaman side, you don't have as much potential burn. And do you think that sort of changes the dynamics of the matchup here?
Yeah, I mean, definitely. Like, the fact that Crackle can potentially be, with 2 cards in it, can be, you know, up to usually around 10 damage bursts in your deck. That does just mean that you're going to be wanting to get another couple of turns of minion damage in before you start going for Lava Bursting and Lightning Bolting them down. And that's going to look like it's going to be quite difficult because being able to clear his first couple of minions with the Doomsayer and the Forgotten Torch, it's looking pretty good for Sinto, I'd say, here.
Well, Sinto, you know, we don't have a lot of ways to attack get rid of this board right now. And look how much damage is going to come in here. We're going to have 10 here.
That's true.
We could also play the Horse Rider at the back end of this and get the Flame Tongue buff. So 14 damage in one turn. And all of a sudden, you're at 14, right?
That's a good point. Yeah, you go from... Yeah, that was a big burst turn there.
It's great having a lot of burn, but you got to have ways to deal with the board. You know, we really need those Frost Novas.
Yeah, that's right. And, I mean, he's probably going to have to start looking at...
Probably using some of the burn. I mean, you could go for things like... All right, it looks like we're good. We can Blood Mage. We can definitely take out the minion here. That still leaves us up. You know, the Flame Tongue buff actually goes away. as well. So do you think that might have been a tiny bit of positioning, or how do you think about that? I think the positioning there, you had some options. At the same time, I don't think it was necessarily, having a huge effect on that turn. Here, Janetzky still has a lot of things he can do. Play the tone goal and can ping this off, go face again for 3 more damage, take his opponent down to 11, and pretty close, though, to actually ending the match here.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, it shows that cards like Flame Tongue Totem, if you have 2 minions on the board, it can just deliver. It's basically like having a 4-attack charge straight away. And it does just mean that Sintolol is definitely looking to try and get rid of as much damage as he can at this point.
Oh, wow. Just going to have to play Arcane Intellect. Definitely going to have to play the Ice Block on the end of this. I mean, you're staring down lethal on the board. But does pick up things like Blizzard. So, going to want to probably Blizzard board. But then, what do you do from that point on, right? Oh, wow. Just going to Forgotten Torch down there. I mean, not dead to board, but that's betting on nothing coming from hand. Wow, so Janetzky's going to take this first match with the Shaman here. And at the same time, even with the Ice Block, I think you were just kind of in dire straits from that point on. Janetzky's going to go up 1-0 on Sinto and gets this mage out of the way.
Yeah,
I mean, get the Shaman out of the way. Get the win with the Shaman. That's pretty great victory. Aggro Shaman go against the Freeze Mage right there.
Yeah, I think that was that. A lot of stuff went in Sinto's favor that way. Janetzky's favor that way. Sorry, I mean. Sinto did manage to get off the Doomsayer early, but I think I agree with you there that he should maybe have tried to save it for another turn or wait for the Frost Nova to come down in order to get a bit more value with it, because in the end it only ended up destroying the Finley and buying him another turn.
Yeah, and probably not much damage, right? You're probably not getting a ton of value for it in that position. Even later, it could have been 7 health. Right, and at that point, exactly. and that's it was just trying to block out the turn. Did not prove to be the best play at the end of the day. But you play Freeze Mage and you don't get Frost Novas nowadays. You don't get some of those cards. It's very difficult because you can only spend so much burn on the board.
Yeah, that's the thing. And it felt like that play was just kind of hedging his bets. He's thinking, I might not get the Frost Nova. He might build up a board that's just so easy for him to kill the Doomsayer. So I'm just going to drop it now.
So it looks like we're going to move into match number 2 here. Janetzky. Probably playing Zoo. We see Giant. We also see Crazed Alchemist. There we go.
Oh,
tech card right
could have had that last game.
And then Sinto is actually going to be on Shaman this time. We see the Talontrog. Not necessarily sure which type of Shaman is just yet, but this matchup, we've seen it earlier. If Shaman can build a board early, it's very difficult for Zoo to come back.
Yeah, and it kind of looks from the Zoo like it might not be quick enough to keep up with Sinto's hand at the moment. He's just got a lot of low drops, and now he's picked up the Rock Biter as well, which he could use to pick off a key minion, maybe in combination with one of the wolves that you get from Feral Spirit to pick off the Darkshire Councilman before it gets too powerful.
Yeah, but I mean, Voidwalker's a great card in that sense. You can also pick up some good things from Peddler. Not necessarily. This is a pretty decent hand to start with. Crazy Alchemist is probably not going to have a ton of value in this matchup, unfortunately. Yeah. So it'll be interesting to see how Zeus starts to build up the board there.
Definitely. And I think with Crazed Alchemist here, you might be looking at something like swapping a Tunnel Trog in the hope of getting a Mortal Coil from your Peddler. Bit of a long shot, maybe. But
I think you'd probably use it when you know it's going to work, right? When you have the board kind of already out there, right? Oh no! Well, it looks like we're seeing Crazed Alchemist right here. All right, Talontrog, you're going to 3 attack immediately. How do you think that changes, Sinto's game plan? Do you just Rock Biter this away?
Yeah, and that's clearly what he does. I mean, he's valuing his Tunnel Trog very highly here, which I think is correct, because if he can get the Feral Spirits down, that's suddenly a Magma Rager that he's got that's just going to be hitting away at the face every turn, which is
one mana Magma Rager. Magma Rager's all right at 1 mana, right?
Yeah,
it does pick up the Elven Archer, so it's only going to be 1 turn of this, chaos. But that's 8 damage coming from the Talontrog over the course of just a few turns. It's already a lot, and you always have to be very careful about your health when you're playing against Shaman.
Definitely. I mean, as we can see here, he's got the Doom Hammer in hand, so he doesn't have to get much more damage down before he has him down to 16 health, which is where the Doom Hammer can finish him off over a few turns.
And even this is kind of awkward, you know? I mean, you get to trade it a little bit, but your board's not entirely that strong. It'd be interesting. Sinto is going to be able to drop probably strong money. But I think going forward, Janetzky's going to be able to do things like Dark Shock Councilman. That will be really strong. Has Powerful Woman. Going to be able to trade into whatever. Oh, the juggle hitting.
Really nice juggle.
Though. Very, very tough.
And that was the problem with Janetzky's board there. It did just leave himself very vulnerable to a Flame Juggler there. And it turned out that it did do a lot of work. But now we can see, are you thinking he'll probably drop the Councilman or the Gang Boss here?
It's tough, right? I think they both have their merits. Councilman, you could make it a 2-5, right? Game Boss, you probably still need to fight for the board and may do that a little bit better, just producing all of those tokens.
Yeah, you don't really care quite so much about attack at this point, because most things that the Shaman's going to be playing are not that high health at the moment. So just dropping this so that he can start getting off those tokens to fight for the board, I think is a brilliant play.
I mean, when do you think, as a Shaman in this matchup, it's kind of just time to let it roll, though? Like, when do you think it's time to go, okay, Doomhammer, you're going to just start doing work?
Yeah, I think not quite yet, because you are still afraid of seeing a powerful Defender of Argus play or something like that. Maybe even seeing a Sea Giant. So you do want to make sure that you have the board to react against that if the need arises. And
Theo pretty good right here, right? I mean, Powerball coming down with the, the 1-1, going to get another 1-1, so that's pretty great. Your Councilman's going to go up to 2-5. So all of a sudden, it looks okay for the Warlock here.
Yeah, it does. And I mean, he's still Janetzky's still at a decent enough life total, I think, where he can think about tapping once or twice, maybe. Especially if Sinto's going to try and clear the Councilman here with his Doomhammer.
Yeah, he's like, I do not want that thing building up. I know what you could do next turn to me.
Oh, wow.
I mean, do you go for the damage and give it the 1-1, or do you just go ahead and throw away the PO?
I mean, that is interesting, because if you're thinking purely about face damage, it's going to have to attack 4 times, or 5 times even, before it gets in the same amount of damage. So I think I like just dropping the Power Overwhelming and just getting him down to 14 straight away. He's definitely on the back foot now, and he has no way of dealing with this Doom Guard as such.
Yeah, it looks like both players are kind of just operating. Okay, I'm gonna start taking your face, and I'm gonna hit your face. Yeah. But now, Sinto, I have Doomhammer, right? And that's a lot of damage over this period of time. And then getting that totem, that's huge. Actually, getting the taunt totem.
Yeah. Oh wow. Well, Crazed Alchemist is having 2 of them in the deck is very interesting, and it is going to do some work here.
Yeah, able to just actually take out the totem. Now, how scared are you to play Flame Imps, though? You're sitting at 14, you see the Doomhammer up, another card has been that hand for quite a while as well.
Yeah, I mean, I've got to be honest, you can call me a wimp, but I would not play this Flame Imp here. That's going to put you down to 13 with the 4 from the Doomhammer. It's going to put you down to 11, with the 4 from the Doomhammer, and then the Argent Horse Rider. That's putting you at such a low health total. And I think it would have killed him off here had he decided to do that. So
yeah, it actually would have been I think just enough there. So
yeah,
do you think Sinto's sort of now you're thinking, okay, Zoo has burst too, right? So how scared am I, and what can I really do about this board right here?
Yeah, I mean, if you clear nothing, just an Abusive Sergeant would finish him off. So I think I think he's probably making the right choice here by killing off the Doom Guard, because if he can clear the board, it means that all of a sudden Power Overwhelming is just a useless card unless you're running something like Leroy to get the burst in.
And you've already seen both Power Overwhelmings, right? So
you have. I'm sorry, yeah.
You need 2 pieces, and you need Leroy PO, but you already seen a PO. So I think, definitely sort of a move there that you can just go face in that position. Gonna need something off of this.
Ooh.
Gets a Soulfire.
Interesting.
He's running another Soulfire, then, maybe, right?
He could have lethal this turn, potentially. But I think this is a tough one, because you could go for the Worgen Infiltrator, because that is But at the same time, if you're doing that, you're probably just doing that for 2 face damage, aren't you? Because you're expecting it to die as soon as it becomes unstealthed. So I really don't hate the Soulfire pickup here, considering that you're probably never going to play Flame Imp from this point onwards.
Definitely a tough one. I know Janetzky taking his time to sort of make this decision. Are you also, you have to sort of figure out, okay, can I still tap? And I think you have to. Yeah. Ooh,
yeah.
Voidwalker, very nice, able to play the Worgen as well. And this sort of means that Sinto all of a sudden might be a little frightened by actually attacking the minions with the Doomhammer.
Yeah, because he's wavering closer and closer, and like you were saying, if Janetzky does play Soulfires, then he's getting really close to being able to finish him off just with that. Like here we see putting him down to 6. If he can, with his life tap, maybe assemble just a few more points of damage.
I mean, just needs Doomguard, right? I mean, just needs Doomguard off this tap right here. So going to be able to draw 2 cards, try to fish for it. Forbidden Ritual's not going to be it.
Not what he's looking for.
And I think you have to fish for it too here, right?
Yeah,
I mean, you could take out the 1/1, but that's
I mean, that's
I think you gotta go for it.
You're dead to board, so you do have
to. And fix double flame imp. Okay, I think we're just gonna play double flame imp right here. Yeah, and Sinto's gonna take this one with the shaman. Quite the good match there, actually. But we saw once shaman turned it on, the zoo did not have enough answers to the board, and really shaman was able to capitalize off that Doomhammer.
Yeah. Definitely. I mean, it was the board states were about even for a while. They were hovering, but just the fact that Shaman does have the Doomguard, which turned out to be such a valuable card there, really proved to win him the game. And I think that in matchups like those where you have about even board states, the Warlock's hero power is what's going to see you through to winning the game. But the fact that he was just under so much pressure from 2 Doomhammers, he just wasn't able to tap without killing himself.
Not able to play Flame Imp, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
All right, so let's get into match number 3 right here. Janetzky's going to be on Druid. When we see some Druid of the Claws, don't know just yet. But
is this Sinto... combo warrior.
It's got to be Worgen, right?
It's got to be Worgen. Oh, I haven't seen this deck in ages.
I mean, you have to wonder if you really think it's gonna come too, right? I mean, some decks just can't do anything about it. How do you think Druid can deal with it?
I mean, I mean, we can see already that he's running 2 Druid of the Claws, which aren't necessarily an auto include at this point in Druid, and so if he can build up those taunts, which and it's a Cthulhu Druid, yeah. So I guess what you're looking for is to, with your mid-range minions and Ragnaros as well, build up a powerful board and put the warrior under quite a lot of pressure, so they have to burn some of their combo pieces potentially.
Yeah, I mean, it's very interesting, if you get a clear board somehow from Brawl. So Janetzky electing to hold on to the Innervate there. When do you think you're really looking to play that 3-mana card though, the Twilight Elder? When do you think you're really looking to get rid of it?
Oh, well, I mean, I'd imagine after the Wild Growth has been played, that's usually a fairly good turn.
That's pretty nice, right?
But, yeah, I mean, usually you want to play that as early as possible because it's just going to die later on. And if you can get 2 or 3 turns of the Cthulhu buff with it, then that becomes the reason why you're running that card. But I think what we're probably going to be looking at here is maybe innovating out a Sylvanas potentially. Well, actually, no. I take that back. I doubt that. With having the warrior building up that much armor, it's very likely that it would just be shield slammed down.
And look, you're not that far off from next turn. You could coin out Innervate Ragnaros, right?
That's the thing. Yeah.
So that's pretty good.
Yeah, and it's a good point because when you play Ragnaros, it's gonna deal 8 damage, most likely to the face here, actually it might be to the Gnomish Inventor, but that negates the shield slam potential as well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and that's something you kind of want to shut down as one of Warrior's options immediately. But, seeing Gnomish here, you got to be thinking, okay, this could be Patron, this could be something. And then we see Twin Emperor. That card by itself could just prove very difficult for Sinto to get through. Brawl already in hand, and that's going to come into huge later in the game.
Yeah, I mean, a card like Twin Emperor, that's for a deck like this, which has to be able to get past taunts. You may even end up using a Brawl on a board with very few cards that have been committed to it, or using both Executes or a Shield Slam to defeat these Twin Emperors can be...
Well, it looks like we're going for this. Ragnaros definitely wants it to hit probably the 2-4, right? I mean, you don't want to like really cheap execute on your Ragnaros.
Yeah, I think you...
Oh, there it goes. So it's going to hit there. That's pretty good. I mean, you know, Sinto still has some answers, though, right? Let me see the faceless. But still has Inner Rage. You can Inner Rage down on the Rag. You can also do some things like Whirlwind. So there are a lot of ways to possibly take this out. And yeah, Execute coming down, going to get a lot of value right here.
Yeah. Oh, and he goes for the Shield Slam as well. And I think this was... I respect his play here to go for the Whirlwind rather than the Inner Rage, because he really does just want to protect his combo pieces as much as possible, because he appreciates that he's probably not going to be winning this game by developing a strong board control. He's probably just going to be bursting his opponent down from a high amount of health. So he really needs to keep that Inner Rage, which I like a lot.
And this is where things get a little bit interesting, because you can play Sylvanas on an empty board, but your Cthulhu's still only an 8-8, I believe, or 9-9. So you're not that 10 threshold where you could just play Emperor next turn and get all the copies, right?
Yeah.
So you really want to get your Cthulhu up a little bit. And right here, Sylvanas might just have to trade in. You can also do things like Swipe as well if you're looking for that. Oh yeah, Swipe's not bad with the Disciple as well.
Yeah, I think that's a good play, because that is... he was just looking for an example, for a time to use his Disciple of Cthulhu in a way that would be in some way beneficial. He didn't just want to play it down on nothing. And this does... did that push him up to... Yeah, Cthulhu is now a 10-10, so Twin Emperor and Klaxi Amber Weaver are both going to be proccing now.
Well, how about 0 mana, deal 1, get a 2/2 slime, and draw a card? Oh, wow.
That's pretty good.
Going to get Ravaging Ghoul off the back end, and then we can see a Battle Rage after this. A huge turn for Sinto right here.
Yeah.
Going to draw another 2 cards. Unfortunately, wasn't at any damage to his own hero, though.
Yeah. But I think even given that, I think that's still really what he was looking for. He does just need now, I think, to cycle as quick as he can through his deck, like the patrons in days of yore, just to try and find the few combo pieces he needs to finish this game off.
Unfortunately for him, I mean, this Druid, Janetzky is going to be building up quite a strong board. You don't really have a lot of good things to take care of this, because you've already used Execute. You've already used things like that. So how else do you deal with this board?
I mean, you're kind of hoping that he might maybe commit a couple more minions to a brawl, or you get lucky with playing your own minions and brawling, because now that he's killed this Sylvanas, he can play a minion of his own and then brawl without the fear of it getting stolen. But even so, he's at 19 health, staring down a 10 health minion, which just doesn't look like he has a way of removing at the moment.
Yeah, and it's going to be really sort of a measure of, okay, as the Druid, you might have to go in a little bit more than you want to. And, you know, you might be scared to brawl, but at the same time, you really have a choice not to play, like, Twin Emperor on this board, right?
Yeah, that's the thing. I mean, it's a really fine balance between playing enough minions so that you can pressure your opponent and kill them before they get off their massive combo, and not committing too much so that they get a very effective brawl. And I think... yeah, this is definitely a board where he's going to have to brawl to... is he going to do it?
Yeah, it's going to go with it. It definitely wants the taunts to go away. You know, clear out the room for the Worgen later. Unfortunately, one of the 4/6s is still going to be up there. So Sinto's going to have to work through this board somehow. Going to burn one of the Inner Rages right now, so get another draw on the Acolyte. Yeah,
I think that's a good play. He's got one Inner Rage still, which should hopefully be enough for him to get off his combo. And yeah, if he doesn't get to his combo, his Inner Rages are going to be useless anyway. So I think that's a good use of the card here.
So now that we've already seen, you know, Execute, Brawl being used, how big of effect do you think Cthulhu is actually going to have later on in this match? Is it going to be the win condition here for this Druid?
That's a good point, because I mean, it's not looking yet big enough like it will close off the game in one turn, but at the same time, you just gave it +3. Doesn't look like he's going to be removing the Twilight Elder in the next couple of turns at the moment. So, I mean, 14 damage straight away. It's looking pretty good for him here.
Yeah, gonna need something here to deal with some of this board. Oh, Shield Slam is not too shabby there. Gonna be able to Shield Slam down the Dark Akoa. Also has the weapon, can finish off, you know, the Twin Emperor. So pretty good turn right there. Able to get back this board a little bit.
Yeah, definitely. How do you feel about the Blood Mage Thalmos inclusion in this deck?
I mean, it's cycles, right? It's cycles, and some of your bigger clears can really do a lot in that sense, right? So, you know, Whirlwind's going to deal 2 damage, things like that. I definitely really like the inclusion right here.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, usually you don't want your Whirlwinds and Battle Rages to deal, on your Blood Tarika to deal more damage because you might be using it on your own minions. But here, if you just want to keep the board clear, I think Thalmos is a good inclusion. And here we can see the fact that Sintolol was getting his Battle Rages for a lot of cards and activating his Acolyte of Pains a lot. He's got a big card advantage here, and if he is able to clear the board, he's looking in a pretty good spot.
Well, I mean, we've drawn through almost the entire deck. There's only 2 cards left. One of those has to be a Worgen, right?
That's got to be the Worgen. It has to be.
So it's somewhere in there. You might even like to, I mean, oh, wow. So it's going to like to play the charge now. Has to get rid of these taunts. So that's kind of what Sinto's saying here is like,
yeah,
I have to get through these taunts. I need to deal damage to your face with my Worgen.
Yeah, I think this is a really heads-up play here. And I think we're going to be seeing the Doomsayer as well here. Yeah, so here he's saying, I'm going to clear the taunts on this turn, and I'm not going to let you play any more on the next turn, and in the hope that he will draw his Worgen on this turn. I mean, it looks
there
like
is one. There's 2 cards left, so not a bad chance, right?
Not a bad chance, yeah.
And then at the same time, what is Druid really going to do about that? I think you might just be like, okay, Worgen, go face, let's get this going. I don't think it's lethal. Wait a minute. No, so it's not lethal, right? Yeah. Oh, 16. Yeah. Oh no, that is exactly lethal. That is 32 on the
wow,
top.
32 damage from hand.
Eventually had to draw through the whole deck, but hey, definitely enough damage there. And you also have the weapon to boot. So Sinto's going to take that one with the Warrior. As I don't see Cthulhu Druid really standing a chance to defend against that unless you're able to really establish a board.
Yeah, I mean, that was the thing. Like, in the first few days of Whispers of the Old God, everyone was playing Cthulhu Druid. It really seemed like the deck to beat. But it does just seem now like it might be that the Cthulhu minions, while they're good, they're just not quite up to par with the strong tempo removal that these kind of other decks can play and the strong card draw that they can play as well.
Sinto drew through his entire deck 29 cards, and at the same time, Janetzky probably drew 15 cards, you know? So it's a very different way. This deck tends to need to draw on its curve, right? And we even saw it did pretty well for the majority of the match, but eventually just falling there. Now, Sinto's going to be stuck on his Freeze Mage. What do you think about this matchup? You know, Drew doesn't have the burst that they used to with combos, so Freeze Mage is probably in a better position.
That's exactly it. And I mean, look, Druid was so favored against Freeze Mage back in the day because of the combo, but also because of cards like Lotheb, which meant that you could build a big board and then absolutely lock it down to be able to deal the damage again next turn. And the fact that a lot of these minions are not that threatening in the fact that you have to include Beckoner of Evil and Disciple of Cthulhu now, it just lowers the overall power level of the deck a lot, which I think is going to give Freeze Mage a much bigger fighting chance in this matchup.
Even things like Ancient of War, right? I mean, that was something that you could even use for heal. Lotheb, especially, like Lotheb was huge in that matchup.
Yeah.
I mean, we do see Innervate, probably going to be able to Innervate Darker Ko out next turn.
Yeah,
Rhinos actually is also very, very big in this matchup too.
Yeah, that's the thing. I mean, it's such a big minion that even a Fireball ping isn't going to be able to clear it off. So it's quite likely to get 2 shots off against the Freeze Mage, and that really high pressure is going to be really powerful. And we don't in fact see the Innovate Dark Arrow Koa here, because I think the fact that he drew Ancient of War is probably going to be swinging him slightly, because he's going to be able to innovate it next turn and then play the Dark Arrow Koa on the turn after, which is a really powerful couple of turns.
Oh yeah, I mean, getting the Ancient down here, it's just a big minion. Freeze Mage doesn't do that great against those types of boards unless they're able to just freeze it, right? So sometimes they can just freeze the entire board, and in that sense, Freeze Mage does very well. And right here we see Sintolol has a lot of ways to deal with those boards. Has a Blizzard, has Frost Nova Doomsayer, so a lot of things early that are going to be very, very good.
Yeah, definitely. And I think at this point, he's going to be starting to look for draw. He wants to find, or burn as well. He wants to be finding Alex Strasser so that he can just delay the game here. Like here, this is going to be buying him another turn. Janetzky won't be able to play any minions this turn, I don't think. Although he is going to be cycling.
Can you even deal with it? No, yeah,
No,
can't deal with it. Almost, yeah, like just like Disciple can deal with it.
It was close.
Not enough.
Close.
Yeah. I mean, look at that though. Like all of a sudden, all right, I think that Doomsayer Frost Nova, great play, able to just clean up this board, and you still have a lot of good board clears at your disposal. Now you're just going to try to get all of that burn in your hand, get it discounted, and start hitting the face with it.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, it's the fact that he has a clear board on this turn is brilliant for him, because the Druid, it doesn't have any armor built up from using its hero power because it's been playing stuff on curve. But at the same time, the fact that you don't have Ancient of Laws anymore, saving them could have been a really powerful play, as you were saying earlier. Just healing for 10 can often be enough to stave off the burn from Freeze Mage.
Yeah, this deck doesn't really have things like that. It doesn't really have a lot of those answers. Unfortunately, Sintolol here doesn't have any way to draw cards, you know, and that's pretty big. You know, you're definitely trying to cycle right now. You have a decent amount of burn, but not necessarily enough just yet.
I agree. Yeah, I mean, this, like you're saying, it is a good amount of burn, but the fact that the Druid is on 30 health means that Sinto is definitely going to be looking for the Alexstrasza to deal that initial 15 damage before he can finish him off. And if he does draw the Alexstrasza on the next turn, he could coin it out and then start hitting his face. I mean, if he does coin it out, then that's the turn after next, that's lethal with 5/5 or Frostbolt.
I mean, Rhino's is pretty good here, though. I mean, Rhino's always been fairly good against Freeze Mage, just able to deal damage to the face, right?
Yeah.
Oh, wow. And we see a mirror image coming to the hand.
Image?
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember seeing that recently, as kind of people were experimenting with it as kind of another Frost Nova type effect for Doomsayer. So you play that and your Doomsayer, and they won't be able to attack in to kill it.
It looks like, you know, this is a fine spot to drop it right here, you know, just prevent 2 attacks. Because you already get 8, you definitely just had to make sure that Janetzky can attack in.
Yeah, I mean, if it does take 2 swings from the Klaxi Amberweaver, that's 8 health for 1 mana, which is a lot of time that the Freeze Mage has bought itself quite cheaply. And I think here it's quite an easy play. You're just going to be looking to spend as much mana as possible in playing your minions. You're probably not thinking too much about how much value they can get from their AoE effects, because having a 7 and an 8 health minion, you're looking pretty good in terms of keeping this board.
Sintolol going to get the Arcane Intellect off the top. Very, very nice pickup there. Oh, really also nice. The Frost Nova gonna buy another turn of attacks. That was pretty huge. You know, that was 1 turn that you just granted yourself because of that Frost Nova right there.
Yeah, definitely. But even more so than before, he is buying himself turns, but he's really hoping to draw into Alexstrasza in the next couple of turns, because he did have to burn a Fireball and a Frostbolt to kill off the Ragnaros. So his damage in hand is definitely not going to be enough to finish off the Druid at the moment. Oh, but you know, Emperor Thorsan is not a bad draw. It does mean
not bad, right? You still have the other ice block. You still have the other ice block, but as you said, you definitely have to get Alexstrasza here. You don't have enough damage unless you're running something like Malgus later on, but you do not have enough damage in hand to start bursting your opponent down, really.
Yeah, and if he does draw Alexstrasza now, because he got that Emperor proc, he's going to be able to play it and then coin an ice block to get him another turn. But even if, I don't know if he runs Antonidas, I don't know if that's popular in current Freeze Mage lists at the moment. I imagine it still is, but it's probably not going to be enough to finish him off over the next couple of turns, because he is still at 29 health, which is just too high for Burn to finish him off at the moment.
And it looks like here, you know, Janetzky's going to be able to proc the first ice block, right? So you're going to be able to proc, but to clear up Emperor, and then you kind of just sit back. You know, it can weave the health into, is going to be able to get him down to 1 if he wants. So this is big. Like, Sinto has to draw Alexstrasza right here.
Yeah, I think that's looking like his only way of winning this game, I think. Unless, I mean, a Blizzard might... I mean, even a Blizzard's not going to buy him another turn unless he wants... Well, no, because he's got the Druid of the Claw that he can put in charge mode. So,
just going to be a loot hoarder? Alright, okay. So you might defend your own loot hoarder here, right?
The loot hoarder always pops up at the worst times. This is absolutely not when he wanted to see him, and he might be pinging his own one.
Not what you wanted. What are we on? And Alex was just one
Oh no,
card
the next
away.
card. Oh.
No way. All right. So Janetzky is probably most likely. Yes, here we go. Janetzky's going to take the match, tied up 2-2. Alex Straza, one card too far into the deck there.
So close, so unfortunate. If he just had that 1 or 2 cards higher, I think that game would have been his. But yeah, he just got unlucky on that draw. And also, Janetzky did play that well, not playing too many minions until he saw a couple of Doomsayers and Frostnovas, so he felt confident that his board would be sticking. And his high level of pressure was just too much for the Freeze Mage to stave off.
And honestly, that has to be a huge win because the way it looked the whole time looked like Freeze Mage was going to win that match as long as they drew correctly. And they did draw Alex Straza, and we saw how valuable that was. So Janetzky going to be able to get a win off a deck they probably didn't expect. But this is going to be another tough one. Zoo going against Freeze Mage, you know, historically has always been very, very difficult for Zoo.
Yeah, definitely. This has always been the deck you bring in a Zoo heavy meta has been Freeze Mage, because the fact that they are so minion based, even their burst is often with Power Overwhelming and Abusive Sergeant buffing up their minions. So they do need to have their minions unfrozen to be able to deliver that high level of burst. And the Freeze Mage is just able to Frost Nova, and Flame Strike is incredibly valuable in this matchup to just delay the game long enough for them to finish the Zoo off.
Yeah, and you know, sometimes it even comes down to like the Warlock will actually tap too far, and they're at 15, and you're like, oh, I don't even need Alex Straza in this position. I can just start throwing Burn at your face. Other stuff, the Zoo nowadays is definitely not as sticky as it used to be. Losing Nerubian Egg, losing Haunted Creeper. So even then, it was still a very, very difficult matchup.
Yeah. And I think here, even like last time, you're not looking for one key card like Alex Straza, so I think he's going to be even more favored than in the last matchup in this game. I do definitely like Sinto's chances here.
I mean, we already have Doomsayer, Frost Nova in hand, so early on, yes, definitely early on. But we saw last game, you know, Drew was able to get it out, but yeah, definitely a different matchup entirely right here.
Yeah. And I guess what Janetzky's thinking is he's just hoping that Sinto doesn't have a Frost Nova Doomsayer, probably exactly that combination of cards, and he's just trying to get as much power onto the board as he can to try and get the Freeze Mage down to a really low level of health in the hope that he can, like as the card we just drew there, finish them off with Power Overwhelmings.
But remember, Crazed Alchemist is out there. Right?
Oh yeah, I forgot. The perfect deck card.
I think if I'm correct, Janetzky has 2 of them in his deck as well.
Yeah, we did see that earlier, which is, I think, very interesting. But it is going to potentially pay off here in a major way.
If it happens here and it actually works and it wins in the match, like, kudos, right? All the way.
He's going to look like a god. He's going to look like an absolute god of this game.
Now, Sinto, you know, you have the answers. After that Frost Nova Doomsayer, you're probably going to be able to go into, even if the board gets back to something, you're going to be able to then play Blizzard. So you have a lot of cards that you... And this is a board, I mean, I'm not thinking twice. I'm using Doomsayer right here, right?
That's very easy. Yeah, I think the fact as well that you have 2 Imp Gang bosses on the board, which... being able to clear them off without actually dealing any damage to them is exactly what you want here. And then on the later turns, you can play your Blizzard, because pretty much seeing 2 possessed villagers and 2 Imp Gang bosses played already, that's basically all the Zoo's really sticky minions that have been played. So Blizzard and Flame Strike are going to be almost guaranteed board clears from this point on.
Yeah, Janetzky's only being left with a 1-1 after this board clear. Huge turn events. Also picks up the Ice Block. That's a huge pickup. So can do a lot of things here. Can drop Loop Holder if he wants to. Ping. I really like that. I mean, that was right there. That was the turn of the match. That's pretty much, I think, all Sintolol is going to need going forward. Oh, and the Crazed Alchemist.
Oh, no. Oh.
This series, man. Everybody just 1 card too short.
Yeah, that's it. It's swings and roundabouts, and that's karma for winning the last one. But he's getting quite unlucky with the juggles there. But even so, he's just going to completely ignore the Loot Hoarder, and he's appreciating that he's winning this game not through board control, but just by finishing off Sinto as quick as he can.
Yeah, and even, sitting around 20 health there, Woodhorror getting, if it gets in a few attacks, it could even accelerate this game by a turn, right?
Yeah.
So that could also come into play, which is a little interesting for this sort of board state that we have right here. Soulfire, though, that's some burst that you may not be expecting.
12 from hand, potentially, yeah. Yeah, very scary for Sinto. But at the same time, he's got 2 fireballs and 2 ice lances. If he can pick up a frostbolt, that is a massive amount of burst from his hand as well.
One gets the Forgotten Torch here, so yeah, we definitely are starting to collect enough burn. I think that we have enough in hand, just not this turn.
Yeah. How much have we got? We've got 12, and then another 4 from both the ice lances combined, and then the Forgotten Torch as well. Yeah, that'll do it.
Do you think here you just Forgotten Torch and double ice lance and the next turn double fireball?
Oh, interesting. I mean, yeah. I mean, what? That doesn't seem like a bad play, because the fact that you have the ice block up, you're definitely not going to be dying this turn, assuming he doesn't run Ether of Secrets. But he does decide to just go with the fireball.
Yeah, just go with the fireball. Yeah, still going to be able to next turn have enough mana to finish the game.
Yeah, I don't really see any way that Janetzky can get out of this, to be honest.
Eater of Secrets, right?
Eater of Secrets off the top, yeah.
Somewhere in there.
Yeah, I still haven't seen that card played, so I don't like his chances of it. But
no, we saw Janetzky, get the last game with the Druid, probably in a matchup that was very difficult. Here, it's just too difficult for Zoo, I think, a lot of times, and able to really get past a lot of these things. As you see, look, 10 health already, and we didn't even use that much burn. We used, 1 fireball in the face?
Yeah, I mean, just the tapping. I think, did he play a Flame Imp near the start of the game? That's just damaging himself. It's just too expensive. You have to do it in order to build up the pressure to take down the Freeze Mage. But that's very often what's going to be killing you in the end of the game as well.
Janetzky doing the math right, getting the juggle, going to be able to get Sintolol down to 1, but it's going to be a little bit too late, and the Freeze Mage is going to take this match here. Yep, here comes the fireball. Here comes the Ice Lances, and that's going to be it. So Sintolol is going to take this one 3-2. Very well fought series by both players. It just seemed like some of the matchups were just a little bit too tough, and Freeze Mage came out on top.
Yeah, I think that was just exactly like what we were expecting. The fact that even whenever the Zoo builds up enough pressure, which they have to do to stand a chance, the Freeze Mage just cut them down in that game. So yeah, really well played from both players, but I think that Sinto does deserve to take that series in the end.
Yeah, and we're going to have quite the exciting final coming up next, guys. We'll take a short break, but when we get back, it's going to be Sintolol taking on Goulet.